This week, the Pew Research Center released a new survey asking Americans about the Zimmerman verdict. The survey asked the question, does this case raise important issues about race that need to be discussed? It's kind of a soft question. But the answers reveal a deep racial divide. 47% of Hispanic respondents and 78% of black respondents believe that the Zimmerman verdict should provoke racial conversation. But only 28% of white respondents agreed. 28%. Fewer than 1 in 3 white Americans even think we have something to talk about here. But there is one high-profile white man who is willing to talk about race. And he spoke up on Fox News on Monday night.
You want a conversation? You got it. You want a better situation for blacks? Give them a chance to revive their neighborhoods and culture. Work with the good people to stop the bad people. Pumping money into the chaos does little. You can't legislate good parenting or responsible entertainment, but you can fight against the madness with discipline, a firm message, and little tolerance for excuse-making. It is now time for the African-American leadership, including President Obama, to stop the nonsense, walk away from the world of victimization and grievance, and lead the way out of this mess.
Well, that is one way to start a conversation. Michael?
Yeah, you know what's interesting to me? Why is it that when we say we want to have a conversation on race, you want to have a conversation on blackness? You don't want to have a conversation on race. You don't want to have a conversation on white privilege, unconscious bias. You don't want to talk about the collective world we've made as black, brown, red, yellow, and white people. You want to lecture black people. And by the way, Mr. O'Reilly, did you not hear? Even though a lot of us disagree, did you not hear President Obama tell Morehouse College, no excuse making? Now, a lot of us want to put that in a broader context.
And Morehouse is not even the beginning of that. It's actually part of what makes President Obama in a particular position to say what he said a week ago, is that he has been very much the kind of respectability president from the beginning.
Right, and even if those of us who have problems with that, the point is, how can white Americans like Mr. O'Reilly ignore the context when Mr. Obama has lectured endlessly and tirelessly for African American people? And but beyond that, Jesse Jackson and Alvin Toussaint in the 1970s had a book called Why Blacks Kill Blacks. So please don't pretend that African American people have not been on this case. But this is what we know. White on white crime is a devastation in America, like so-called black on black crime. It's not black or white on white crime. It's proximity murder.
Yeah,
people kill where they live. Yeah. So we have to talk about that in a broader sense. And guess what? The cameras don't show up in Chicago like they show up in Newtown and Aurora. All we're asking for is equal attention paid to crises at a time of enormous distress for our vulnerable children to be assisted. So, Mr. O'Reilly, I'd love to have that conversation about protecting yourself behind white picket fences and Fox News and having digital courage. Come in the streets where you went to Sylvia and you were surprised that black people don't throw bananas at each other or swing from trees.